Well, this has been a long time coming. I want to introduce you to one of my passions, perhaps the main reason I started this channel in the first place, to share how to invest in the stock market. This is something that I talked about, envisioned, worked on, stopped, worked on again for a number of years. And the reason is because it's such an important principle. I want to make sure that I get it right. I want to make sure that I deliver the information in a way that is relevant and practical, that once you finish listening, hearing, and going through the information, you will be able to immediately put it to use. I personally believe investing in the stock market should be as common as managing your checking account. And trading should be like transferring funds. Everyone should be participating. So I bring this to you to skill build. Welcome to Demystifying the Stock Market. My name is Sean Ferguson of Skill Builder Institute. It may sound daunting or maybe even out of reach, but I assure you it is not. The information I am sharing can change your life. It has and continues for me in ways that I haven't even imagined. I know it sounds cliche, but it's not. There are countless stories that I can provide. Investing has provided me with surprisingly fun alternative revenue stream that I can passionately use to generate money to fund goals or whatever it is we may entail. I've reached multiple goals investing, and you can too. I don't say this to be pompous, and those who know me know I'm very, very humble. I only say this to provide direct evidence of the opportunities investing can provide. This stuff, like most, doesn't require advanced degrees or specialized training to understand. It requires developed skills, and that's what we're going to help you with. Before going any further, I'd like to dedicate this to my cousin, Rhonda Towns. From business ideas to stock and option strategies, you are a gift to the world, a true friend, a lover of life. Rest in peace. This is for you, Rhonda. We're going to touch on a number of subjects in this workshop. Namely, we're going to be using Robinhood. There's going to be a referral link that I provide that can help you get set up on Robinhood. And by using that link, we'll both get partial shares of stock. There will also be a downloadable document that will walk you through the installation process. Our first task is going to be to focus on the myths associated with investing. So the first myth we want to tackle is investing is like gambling. This is one that just irritates me. I don't know why it is, but it just, at its core, it just irritates me because I know fundamentally investing in stocks is nothing like gambling. And one of the primary reasons is that when you invest in stocks, I'll sometimes use the term equities, you're actually buying a portion of that company. You actually are a physical owner. Previously, they used to issue stock certificates to denote the amount of shares and how much interest you have in the company. But now, since everything's electronic, that's not the case. So that's the first thing that I want to point out. When you purchase stock, you're actually purchasing a part of the equity, a part of the company. You're actually an owner. Depending on how much stock you have or own may depend on how much ownership or voting rights you may have. The second thing, when you gamble, it's a wish. You know, the casino already has the odds pre-configured for how much profit margin that they need to get from the machines, from the tables, etc. So when you're gambling, you're not actually getting anything returned. There's no guarantee that you get anything in return. There may be an opportunity for you to win, but there's nothing returned. So you don't have anything tangible that you have as part of, the gambling activity. That's how I want to clear that up. Remember, investing, ownership, gambling, wishing. Myth number 2, I don't have enough money to invest. Okay, let's just talk a little bit about human nature. We all have vices and things that we do, and I'm not necessarily saying that they're a bad thing, but in many cases, everyone has one or multiple that they use resources for, right? It may be smoking, vapes, whatever it may be, alcohol. maybe gambling, hobbies, whatever it may be. In any case, let's just take a look at the typical amount of money that people spend on these hobbies and these vices, right? So I would say that it's not uncommon to say $25 per week, maybe what you spend on that, and that equates to about $100 a month, right? Now, I'm not saying stop the hobbies. I'm not saying anything like that. All I'm saying is perhaps consider reducing for a month just so you could engage in investing, and then that way you will have an opportunity. So, going back to that myth, I don't have enough money to invest. We illustrated that, if you look at your checkbook, if you look at where you're spending money, you have a few dollars in some place that may provide an opportunity for you to invest. And let me just state something. You only need $1. Let me restate that. You only need $1, right? So don't tell me you don't have $1 to start with. That dollar may be the way that you learn. You invest $1 in some stock, and then you just watch it and see how that dollar changes over time based on different things that happen in the market. That's what I'm going to educate and teach you and show you. The next myth is it's just too difficult to understand. It's too difficult to invest. I don't understand. Well, one of the things that I've discovered through my career at IT, through my investing, through my business walk, everything has its own language, right? So if you don't understand the language, it's going to be very difficult to understand the concepts. So what I plan on doing is help you understand the language so that you can participate. Because you understand how to create a budget. You do that for your home already, right? You understand that part, right? You understand what dollars mean. You understand cents. You understand a profit. You understand if you buy something low and sell it high, oftentimes you end up with a profit. The same concepts apply. We just are going to explain that a little differently to ensure that those concepts make sense. They use a lot of terminology that, one that I commonly hear, the Dow is down 25 points today, or the NASDAQ is up 25% from 385. Those are things that we're going to talk about, and you'll be very confident and understand what those terms mean. So we're going to break that myth. I'm going to show you and ensure that you understand investing. And then here's going to be the rest of the topics that we go through as we take this journey. Like I said first, we're going to cover terminology, the language of investing, so that you understand what different terms mean. And that's going to be the starting point, right? We're going to understand what points mean. We're going to understand what the Dow, the NASDAQ, all those terms that you hear people throw around frequently, we're going to understand what all those terms mean. Business 101. I'm going to explain the commonalities between a public company and a private company. And you may ask, why is this important? Because this is the foundation of the stock market. It's no different than a private company that you may own, right? That may be a corporation that issues shares, right? No different, except for public companies have a disclosure. They have to disclose all their information, which is beneficial to you, the investor. We're going to talk about the introduction to the stock market. How does this thing work? How do you actually buy? How do you sell? What are the actual functions or behaviors from doing so? We're going to talk about investment strategies. We're going to talk about dollar cost averaging, long-term investing, blue chip purchasing, things like that. We're going to talk about all the different financial markets, right? Your cryptos. We're going to talk about, your commodities. We're going to talk about different financial markets. We won't spend a lot of time because the focus here is the stock market, but I do want you to understand how they work. We're going to dive right into Robinhood and show you how that works. We're going to talk about stock market research. I'm going to show you how to access this public information and how to make sense of it. And then lastly, I have a bonus content that we're going to briefly talk about, and that's going to be options. Introduction to options. Now, options are an advanced concept that I don't recommend any beginner participate in, but it is something that I think is important to understand as you take this journey. Now, going back to the myth number one, You know, some people may call me on it. If anything's close to gambling, I would say options trading is probably closest to gambling, because really, in some, all you're doing is really hoping that it goes up or down, and you're betting on that. So hopefully that sounds like a good curriculum. Hopefully that information is attractive, and that's something that will help you gain competency so that you can participate. That's what we're going to be going over for the next few weeks. And please join me in this journey. I encourage you to participate, leave comments, feedback, and subscribe and like the channel. Love to hear from you. Thank you.